let's live in a world in which Joel Embiid gets clear to play for tonight. Alan Hahn, what does that mean for this team?
Well, it means they get their best player back. They get an MVP back, and that's very important, MVP caliber, of course. And that's, of course, very important for them. But by the way, as you mentioned the injury, so he's got to get surgery on the thumb when the season's over. Now he's got the orbital as well. He breaks a lot, doesn't he? And this is what
he gets hit a lot.
This is what it means if you're the Sixers. You heard Jalen Rose in that in the rejoin from the week talk about how there's check the Carfax on James Harden. Right? And there's a lot, he's breaking down. Check the Carfax on Joel Embiid. Check the odometer. Mileage up. It's going up.
Sorry, Ryan.
Win now is so important for him, which is why he's got to get on the floor, and he knows it. But is this the year? Probably not again for him.
He gets
frustration
hit a lot,
everywhere.
though. He gets hit a lot.
And he
he's
breaks
double
a
and
lot.
triple. Well, if you're double and triple teamed 48 minutes a night, something's going to happen.
That's why you have to worry if you're Philly. This odometer just keeps going up. They've got to get it 1 year.
To that point, Hahn, they got here. There is no guarantee that they get back here.
Oh, they've gotten to the second round. They're good at that.
Okay. there's no guarantee as the East continues to get
better,
competitive and better. And we don't know, to your point, because of his injury history, there's no guarantee they get back with him.
That's
healthy
what made this year so critical.
So he has to go. He has to get back out there.
Oh, no doubt. That's why he's going to play, because he knows. Check the Carfax, like Jalen said. Yeah. You got to drive the car now.
And you see the numbers there, how much better they are with him in the lineup. It could make a difference. Real quick, can they win the series with him if he comes back? Embiid comes back, plays game 3. Can they win this series?
I think they can push it to 6.
Okay, what do you think?
No, the gentleman's sweep at best. Get one. I'm sorry. Look, it's just reality where they are, and they go nowhere if the disconnect between he and James Harden remains.
Now, speaking of James Harden, what's wrong with James Harden? Somebody please explain this to me.
We've been here
this was the superstar that was supposed to put Philly over the top. I know he's only been there for a little while, so you can tell me that, Sixer fans, but still.
I think the question is, what is wrong with us that we keep expecting the same guy?
No, we're not doing
because he was that guy in Houston.
Was being the key word there, right? And so I think the reality of odometers and Carfaxes and all of these analogies that indicate mileage and wear and tear on one's body, you're not looking at the same guy, right? And even if we just go back to last year, that hamstring injury has lingered throughout this season. You need your hamstring to pull off step backs, to be explosive, to do all the things that made James Harden who he was, and he's just not that guy anymore. And I think he can be a tremendous facilitator. He's a third piece of a big three in a team that I think could be very good. But we really need to lay to rest Houston version scoring champ James Harden.
Okay, you're ready to move on then. So he'll never be that again? Is that what you're saying?
Not without committing to his body in a CP3-esque way.
Okay.
And past behavior does not indicate that is his operation, modus operandi, rather.
To paraphrase Walt Clyde Frazier, he can't help the club from the club? Is that what you're telling me? I mean, is that where we're at?
Listen.
Because it's true. No, it's true.
Now,
and I don't know, you don't know if he has got that kind of commitment. He loves to play basketball. Nobody's doubting that. He's a very good player as well. The numbers show you the pop is not there anymore. What he used to be able to do, he can't do anymore. What made him great, he can't do anymore. He could still play at a high level, but he can't be great. And to carry this team, which he has to do without Embiid, he has to be great.
I know you love numbers. His effective field goal percentage is 48, which is ranked 65th among 68 qualified players.
Yeah, that's not good. How about 28% from the field from 3 feet to 10 feet? 3 feet. Ryan, you can make 50% from 3
and that's saying a lot, because my shooting game is terrible.
Here's the good news, Ryan.
Yeah.
The emergence of Tyrese Maxey.
22 points a game?
Legit.
And guess who's he going to play for next year when they trade him for another star?
Well, let me ask you this. And Monica, is there, let's say James Harden, when you look at him, you say he doesn't have that burst anymore, the hamstring and all of that. Is there, if he dedicates himself to his craft and gets away from all these other things that we talk about, is there a different James? Can we see that kind of James Harden again, but in a different form?
I subscribe to
I'm thinking MJ, late career. Remember how he changed?
Right, and here's the deal. James, I think if he's in better shape, the shooting comes back in terms of from three.
Legs come back, shooting comes back. 100%.
The mid-range comes back from 3. I think the big difference is maybe he's not at the free throw line as much as he once was, but you still will have to honor him, which allows him to use his terrific court vision and basketball IQ to find his guys.
It really is that simple. And Monica, you're right. Lay to rest the James Harden from Houston. In fact, that's not a player I want to see. The guy I want to see that I think is still available if great offseason, in shape, show up next year in training camp is the Brooklyn version of James Harden when he was a fantastic facilitator with, of course, 2 stars that he could pass to. But it wasn't always with stars. A lot of times he was carrying the load, triple-doubles kind of performances, kicking it out to role players who were making shots. And he still has that game. That game doesn't age when you have the ability to pass and vision and all those things that he can do, get around one defender. But right now, he's leading the league in ISOs per game at 8.9 in the playoffs, more than even Luka. The problem is off the ISOs, he's shooting 32%.
Yeah, that's not
so he's not that guy anymore. So what can he come back next year as? Is a question that we all need answered, but I wanted answered as the guy we saw in Brooklyn last year.
Okay, before the hammy, before the injury, before he was ineffective in the playoffs.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.